诸位至诚礼佛行三问是礼，一问是。三称佛号：南无本师释迦牟尼佛。南无本师释迦牟尼佛。南无本师释迦牟尼佛。Please be seated. Meditation, okay? Good evening, brothers and sisters. How are you all today? Good? So, Alaya consciousness, yes. Some of you have asked about the availability of the recordings, whether it's for this class or the Heart Sutra class. Yeah. So, if you all want the recording, turn to your right and look at him. He's the man. So they have been doing recording. So I've just asked them whether they can actually do the podcast. Yeah. So can we do podcast? Yeah. Oh. Okay. So what is the URL? How to go there? What is the name of the channel? What is the name of the channel? So can you all hear? All of you can you all of you hear? Make sure I don't want to receive any more email and so just go to our YouTube page. We're going to also create a podcast channel. Yeah, because now it didn't occur to me somehow. Yeah, because we are doing voice recording. So in order to upload, then he has to spend time to convert that into a video. Yeah. Actually, and it actually use up bandwidth. Yeah. They don't allow MP4 files that has like blank video, right? Do they allow that? Video format. Okay. I see. There's this FFmpeg. But anyway, let's just try podcast also. Yeah. So literally KONG, Kong Ming San. Do they have to spell it out? KMS or okay. So is there more than one channel? Okay. So search for playlist under Sutra Study. Okay. Yeah. All right. So those who miss some classes, you all can catch up. But of course, you cannot ask questions during the the playback. And don't write comments there asking, so is the I'm not monitoring that channel. You'll take a while, route to them, then they receive, then they will send around, then. Okay, so where did we stop? We started on the alaya consciousness, finally, and we went through a couple of things, yeah. So this might be helpful. It's actually basically the same thing, but sometimes when we list them out separately, then it looks clearer. Yeah. So alaya consciousness. What is the meaning of alaya? Huh? Storage. Yeah, storage. What does it store? What does the alaya consciousness store? It stores the karmic seeds. Yeah, the karmic seeds. There's no such a Sanskrit term called karmic. Yeah, but in modern times, it is very common to see this term karmic. Yeah, it is a modernization of the term karma. Okay, yeah. So before we go into the text proper, I thought I want to highlight how this teaching on there being seeds, it is a metaphor. It's not meant to be taken literally. Okay, so don't try to start digging your head and see whether there are seeds there. The term seeds is not unique to Mahayana Buddhism. Yeah, contrary to some popular belief, some people think that, oh, this is our special teaching on the seeds. Yeah, if you look at the Pali Canon in the Anguttara Nikaya, yeah, in the Anguttara Nikaya, you will be able to find that this. Are you all familiar with Anguttara Nikaya? How many of you have heard of Anguttara Nikaya? Oh, so the rest of you have not been listening, huh? Because in the earlier lessons, I've quite definitely mentioned Anguttara. Okay, so what is Anguttara? This is just some background so that you can go and find out more. Okay, Anguttara. This is under the collection of Nikayas. Okay, and Nikayas is part of the Sutta or Sutra, if you will, Pitaka. And this is part of what we call the Tripitaka. All right. So we have the Sutra Pitaka, we have the Vinaya Pitaka, and then we have the Abhidhamma Pitaka. I'm going to just write the Pali, the Sanskrit term. Yeah, I don't really have a preference, but this lineage of ours is Mahayana, so honor of that. In most cases, the Pali and Sanskrit term just differ in spelling. Yeah, in most cases, the meaning is exactly the same. So, like Dhamma, it will be D-H-A-M-M-A. Yeah, the pronunciation is very close also. One with R, one without the R. Yeah. Of course, for those of you who actually go and learn Pali, strictly speaking, the way we pronounce is wrong. Huh? Dhamma is not quite correct. Dharma. Yeah, with a H guttural sound. Yeah. When I went to attend, I'm like, goodness. Yeah. Years back, some Venerable actually highlighted that. Anyway, so within the Nikayas, huh? So this is Zheng Yi Ahan. Zheng Yi Ahan. So this is basically, so there are a couple of Nikayas, okay? There's the Digha Nikaya, there's the Majjhima Nikaya, there's Samyutta Nikaya, and then there's Anguttara Nikaya, and then there's Khuddaka Nikaya. So in Anguttara Nikaya, this is also translated as the numerical, okay, or gradual discourses. Why is it known as numerical? Because there are altogether 11 books. 1 to 11. And in each of these books are sutras that are related, connected by numbers. So in book 1 are all the sutras where the Buddha mentioned, in this world there is one thing, like the mind, so on and so forth. Number 2, in this world there are two kinds of people, those who are grateful and those who are not. In this world there are two individuals whose debt, whose gratitude we cannot repay. Our father and mother. And there's book 3, book 4, all the way up to book 11. Book 11 contains all other numbers that is above 10. So you don't have book 37 for 37 factors of enlightenment. Okay. Now the citation here is found in book 3. Okay. The exact number I can't remember, but in this collection, so in each of the books there are many sutras. So there's not just 11 sutras. Okay. There are a few thousand sutras in this Nikaya itself. So in one of them, the Buddha mentioned about the metaphor of seeds. Planting of seeds. In which he says, he mentions about how a person, when we act, we may act driven by greed, hatred, or delusion, or non-greed, non-hatred, and non-delusion. And in this way, then we will plant seeds. For the full detail of the sutra, you can go and search. Where do you search? A very common and popular site is Access to Insight. Some of you may have just joined us for year 3, so this is for you. Those who have attended for the past 2 years, you should have seen this before. Access to Insight.org. This is a very good collection of the Pali Canon Sutra translation. If you want to read straight from the Chinese Mahayana Tripitaka, you can go to cbeta.org. Okay, cbeta.org. Whether you put www. Is irrelevant. Most websites today, they will resolve the URL correctly. Okay? Any questions? Everybody okay? Everybody okay? Okay, So, yes. 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 Sorry, not this thing. What was I thinking about? Because last time I was searching the word Jinggang, so I imprint too strongly. So this is the Luan. So in the Mahayana tradition, we will refer to Jing, Lü, Lun, Sutra, Vinaya, and then Abhidhamma. In the Pali tradition or in the Theravadan tradition, oftentimes it will be Vinaya, Sutra, Abhidhamma. Okay, so this is basically the rules, and this is where all the discourses are. And this is, most would agree that this is actually commentary. But in the different traditions, they have slightly different interpretation. Yeah. Okay, enough said. These three. No, all three of them. Yeah. The, yeah, the three baskets. Yep. Yeah. Mm. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Sorry? To insight. .org. Insight. 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 Yeah. Access to insight. Hey, don't laugh lah, my handwriting, Okay? Okay. Cannot read my scribbling, Okay. I will try. I will try. But the lesson will take longer. Okay. Let's try, okay? So, this is just an overview. I will come back to this in a short while, okay? So, last week, was it last week? Last week, yeah. We went through the Nen Zhang or Nen Chang, yeah. This word has two pronunciations, Nen Zhang or Nen Chang, yeah. Both. So basically, the alaya consciousness is a storage, yeah, storage house, if you will. So there are a few aspects of it, yeah, or a few meanings. The first one is that it can store, yeah, which is the Nenzang. The second one is that there is the things that are stored inside, yeah. So, 所藏 is the things that are stored inside. The things that are stored inside is also part of the consciousness. Yeah, also part of the consciousness. So this is actually the storage. I remember the request to write in non-cursive font. Storage, and that this is the things that are stored. Is this better? Okay. All right. So last week we have already explained these two, right? Or just the first one? Huh? Can you all remember? Just the first one? But I sort of covered the second one also. So the second one here, 所藏值. Yeah, so the things that is being stored, it refers to 指由前七转世 熏习第八世. Yeah, so here a few terms, okay? 熏习, yeah, 熏习. So the term for 熏 in English is to perfume. Perfume. Yeah, I know this is strange. I didn't write wrongly. This is perfume. Yes, perfume. Let me explain, okay? So today, when you think about perfume, you think about Chanel No. 5. Okay? Yeah? Hey, come on, Sifu. I wasn't born a monk, okay? Yeah. I know the ways of the world. Yeah, guys, if you want to win the hearts of ladies, make sure you carry in one hand flowers, the other hand Chanel No. 5. Wow. Yes, yes. Or whatever, yeah, or whatever she fancy, huh? Yeah. I mean, sometimes you think about it, I mean, sometimes you got to really think about it, All your lady asks for is just some flowers. Can't you just get her some flowers sometime? Like, what's the big deal? Like, sometimes you may wonder to yourself, how can I make someone happy? And the person tell you in your face, get me some flowers. No, I'm not going to get you some flowers. But I wonder, how am I going to make you happy? Yeah, sometimes this is the eternal question that men and women always grapple over. Yeah, what will make my lady happy? And then the woman will be wondering, why can't he just get me some flowers? Anyway, yeah, this may come up later, yeah, as we explore the alaya consciousness more. Yeah, why we behave in this way, Yeah, blame everything on the alaya consciousness. So here, perfume. Perfume, in modern time, we just think of the thing that you spray. But here it's used as a verb. Yeah, there's another term which is not so pleasant. Yeah, and it only found in certain texts. Is to what is that? Fumigate. Is it fumigate? Yeah. You see, they have very identical meaning. Yeah, but perfume sounds better, huh? And so in the text, I'll try to see whether I can walk around. In the text, it talk about this metaphor, and it describes incense. So if you were to have something burning, yeah, and if it's an incense that's burning, and if there's cloth that's nearby, yeah, over time, so when you are burning the incense, you can smell the smell, the scent, okay? But over time, if you do this for a period of time, and that's the key thing, repeatedly over time, then even when you don't burn, and you smell the cloth, there's the smell also. Yeah, the smell has somehow transferred over. Now, please, okay, there are some of you who are chemists or biologists who will tell me, but Sifu, in this case, literally some of the molecules of the scent actually travels and then, lodge itself into the material. That's why you can have the smell. Yeah. That's where if you go into the molecular level, the metaphor breaks down. Okay. So you must understand that when this metaphor was used, there was no reference, there was no such concept as the molecular structure and all. Yeah, so this is the way the original teaching used the metaphor, yeah, of perfuming, where if something is exposed to certain scent over time, then after a while, when the source is taken away, you can still smell it. There's this remnant of that smell. Yeah. And this process is used to describe how, as we interact in this world, and then there is defilements that is active. And then when that happens, and we act, okay, then it basically perfumes, yeah, or plants. We're more familiar with planting a seed, yeah. So we will plant a seed, but the way the seed is being planted, it is like perfuming, where it is not just once, not just twice, but repeated. That's why Xun Si, yeah, the word Si or Si is repeated. When we do good things, we don't usually just do once. We do repeatedly. When we do not so good things, we also don't just do once. We do repeatedly, over time. Yeah, and this becomes stronger and stronger. The seed become nourished. Yeah, and as it becomes stronger and stronger, then it manifests as what we call our habitual tendency. Habitual tendency. 熏习的力量, the strength, the power of repeated perfuming. the repeated perfuming. So here is referring to when the first 7 consciousness, 由前期转世, yeah. So the first 7 active consciousness, how all that were to repeatedly perfume. Yeah, I'm going to just use perfume for now, and later I will introduce another metaphor, which I feel personally is perhaps something that is easier for us to understand. Okay, not to negate the original metaphor. Okay, but just to do illustration so that we can understand better. Yeah, so the first seven active consciousness would then perfume 熏习第八世所含藏 the 诸法种子. So the eighth consciousness, the seeds there, would be perfumed, perfumed by the first 7 consciousness. So if the perfuming is wholesome or unwholesome, or neither wholesome or unwholesome, and so on, the different kind of influence. So here it refers to the seeds that are being planted. The seeds that are being planted. So although the seeds are being planted, but it's also part of the alaya consciousness. So when we talk about storage, it actually encompasses not just the storage itself, but the things that are stored inside. All right. So this is the second meaning. 这是约第八世的受熏意说. So this alaya consciousness has the ability to be perfumed. It can receive these seeds. The modern analogy I have for you all is, as I mentioned before, the hard disk. You know hard disk? Yeah. So the hard disk itself. So imagine your hard disk. Okay, 2.5 mm, 2.5 inch rather, the diameter. And then you have all the platter inside. The hard disk itself is the hard disk. When you write data into it, the data becomes part of the hard disk. And yet the data is still not part of the hard disk in a way. But it stays in the hard disk. The difference between the hard disk and our alaya consciousness is, later at the later part over here, he talked about how this doesn't go away. The hard disk can break down, and then you cannot read the data. In the case of the alaya consciousness, it is the best storage mechanism. It stays there forever until it ripens. Good and bad, it means that whatever good you have done, even when you come for lesson and you listen and you're like, Liabokyu, no problem. Even the Liabokyu is being stored inside. So you accumulate a lot of Liabokyu, then one day got 1 kyu there. So no worries. No problem. Then you accumulate maybe in this life, you a lot of kyu, until next life, your kyu is almost complete. No? So you also go for basic Buddhism. Other people also go for basic Buddhism. But the first lesson you attend, you kyu. Then other people who have not been catching balls, look at you. Oh, how come this fella? Really not first lesson. Really first lesson. Actually, for many life you have been So my teacher used to encourage us, saying, so do not dishearten. No matter how well or how bad, so to speak, you practice, just practice. No matter how much time you have, even if it's just 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 15 minutes, just go and do some sitting. No matter how trivial it may seem, just go and practice because it leaves an imprint. as my late ordination teacher always say, 不会白辛苦的. Your efforts will not be futile. Yeah. Of course, if you put in strenuous effort, yeah, a lot of diligence, then you will see progress faster. Yeah. But if you take your own sweet time, yeah, it's okay. Yeah, because we all have different conditions, isn't it? Yeah. Some of us have more commitments that demands more of our time. What to do? So whatever amount of time you have, you can, okay, you put in a bit. That eventually they'll okay. But the reverse is also true. The reverse is also true. Each time when you have evil, unwholesome thoughts, yeah, it plants a bit inside. Yeah, it get a bit grey inside. Yeah, a bit tainted, a bit of 宝物. Bit by bit, the 宝物 accumulate until one day, you cannot stand it. Yeah, but I suspect it's the same. If you have been smelling the 宝物 for a long time, you cannot smell anymore. So you cannot tell that there's 宝物. Yeah, you understand 宝物 or not? 宝物 understand? You see, Chinese terms don't understand. Hokkien okay. Malay jialat lah. Malayu lah. Okay, Singapore, okay? No problem. Yeah. Language is not an issue. Yeah? Language should be a tool, shouldn't become an impedance. Yeah. Whatever language you all require, 师父 speak, try, okay, try. 应以和声得度者，即现和声而为说法。阿弥陀佛。So, this concept is actually linked again to the Pali Canon. I believe, let me see, is it the Dhammapada? Dhammapada, there are a lot of beautiful verses. Yeah. If not the Dhammapada, definitely in one of the Nikayas, the Buddha have mentioned. He says, do not think little of small good, for bit by bit, yeah, an urn, a jar is filled up with water. Yeah, the Buddha in this case used a jar, a jug rather. Those, like last time, a long time ago, we have those container in the toilet, Yeah, and I have seen before many people, yeah, the tap, they open just a bit, enough to have a drip of water. Yeah, their thinking is, if I do this, the meter doesn't run. I tell you, Adina Dana Veramani Sikapadam Samadhiyami. Yeah, this is stealing actually. Yeah, you're stealing. You let the thing drip, but the meter doesn't run, so you don't have to pay. You think you don't have to pay. You think. You wait long. Yeah, never done. Very good. Yeah, sadhu. But anyway, that's not what I was trying to say. But just in case, if you are still dripping water, but nowadays, who cares, the electricity bill is, with aircon, is $100, $200. You drip here, drip there, waste time. Somehow, if you do that when the environment, if there's dengue, they come here, jialat. So, the Buddha used this analogy that if you just put one drip at a time, still the jar would fill up. Yeah, the jar would eventually fill up. Given enough drips, the jar would fill up. So this applies for both good wholesome acts and evil unwholesome ones. Yeah. So keep this in mind. So this is the things that are stored here. Here the things refer to the seeds. Yeah, the seeds. The last one, 执障, 执着的执. Yeah. So attachment storage. Literally means attachment storage. 执障指第八识, 恒被第七末那识. Yeah. So this was actually mentioned in the definition for the seventh consciousness. How our mind, which is the seven consciousness, is attached to things. Yeah, attached to an aspect of the eighth consciousness. Yeah, attached to its manifestation. Yeah, which is basically the whole world. Yeah, that attachment to it as mine, me, or myself. Yeah, this attachment. So, with reference to it being the target of attachment, yeah. So we have this name. Okay, attachment store. Yeah, attachment store. Yeah, the things, this tendency to be attached, yeah, is linked to this alaya consciousness. So, these are the three meanings of the term alaya. Where is this alaya? Where is this alaya? It is usually described as part of our mind stream. Yeah, the stream of consciousness that arise and cease, arise and cease. Now, a few things that is not explicitly mentioned, okay, after this page is basically the mental concomitants. So, some things that are not explicitly mentioned in this sub-commentary. The alaya consciousness itself is often mistaken for what we call soul. Yeah, there are some who think, hey, all this description seem to indicate that alaya consciousness is basically soul. Yeah, but it is still different. Why? So, okay, let me slow down so that my handwriting is slightly better. Marginal improvement. So this is not soul. Okay, some things to highlight. It is not soul. Why? Because it is also impermanent. It is changing. And it is without certain control. When we say without certain control, it doesn't mean that it's haywire, okay? It just means that you don't have absolute control to say, I want it to be like this or like that simply by willing it. Yeah? Only when there are specific conditions, then it changes in a certain way. Yeah? You cannot simply say, okay, if you have absolute control, what it means is you can basically say, let my alaya consciousness become perfectly purified. If you have perfect control, yeah, if this is you and it is within your control, maybe some of you may not want that yet. Okay, maybe some of you still want to, yeah, go and harm some people yet. Yeah, but if you want to be enlightened, okay, hang on, listen. If you want to be enlightened, and this alaya consciousness is in fact, if it is within your control, yeah, which is the very definition of soul of self, then you should be able to just say, okay, purify, boom, purify. Yeah, but you can't do that with alaya consciousness. Yeah, it follows certain principles and certain rules. Yeah, when it becomes perfumed in a certain way based on your action, and your action in turn is based on a lot of other conditions. Yeah, you cannot simply say, I want it this way. You cannot. Yeah. So in these various ways, it is not so. Yeah. Perhaps even more crucial is the first two. For most people, the first two is more crucial. But in terms of the principle itself, the last one is actually rather crucial. Yeah. Because the last one is about no self. Yeah, it's about no self. The first two is linked to no self, but it is more apparent to us. Yeah. when we talk about a soul or something that is within us that we call I, that I, as I've mentioned in class before, it cannot change. It should not change. Otherwise, you don't call it an essence. That you cannot simply say, "Oh, this is just changing." The essence is a core that moves from across time. Yeah, that doesn't change. It doesn't get affected. Yeah. This is the definition of soul in various religions. This is the very definition of self, yeah, in the Brahminic religion. Alaya consciousness, it is responsible for our existence, for our rebirth, but it doesn't have these characteristics of being impermanent. It is precisely because it's impermanent. That's why you can change it. That's why you can perfume and plant new seeds. Yeah. It is because it is impermanent. That's why we can change and transform. Yeah. And it can give rise to all the things in this world. Yeah. If it's permanent, then the way it is 10 years ago is the same as the way it is now. Yeah. So all the things you have done would have been zero. Yeah. And so by definition, alaya consciousness is not so. Okay? It's not so. Yeah. This is not explicitly mentioned here, but I thought, I feel that this is crucial. Yes. Mm. Mm. So, no. As far as the lineage that I was taught in, no. So this is where, when the metaphor is being used, you must know the boundaries of the metaphor. Yeah. So for example, the usage of mind stream is to describe that just as a physical body of water that is always changing and always flowing is given a name, and then it seems like it's a static body of water, but it's not. Yeah, it is actually a flowing, ever-changing body of water. Yeah, where one moment conditions the next moment. Yeah, the upstream conditions the downstream. Yeah, and then downstream the further downstream. Yeah, but it's not a static body. Okay, this is the boundary of the metaphor of mind stream. Yeah, that there's no fixed entity. But if without going into your example, I can give you another further elaboration of river, yeah, or stream that's totally different. Yeah, because in a normal stream, sometimes there's fish. Yeah, but although rivers have fish, it is not relevant or it is outside the scope of the metaphor. Yeah, so likewise, streams can merge, but that is outside the scope of this metaphor. Yes. Uh, Instead of saying will always, uh, this thing of whether it merge or not is not even in the equation. Yeah. So it's not as though sometimes may merge, sometimes may not. Yeah. The merging of streams is never inside the equation. Ah. In some ways, conventionally we can say that. But when we speak in this way, it's easy for us to then fall into the soul idea. But here, if you say yes, then that's a soul, or that's a thing that move on. But you must remember, in the concept of a soul, it is an unchanging essence that move on. Yeah, it's an unchanging essence that move on. Yeah, alaya consciousness, by definition, it stays static. Yeah. So in the same way, if you consider the river today, yeah, and the next, or rather in one moment, the river, and the next moment, the river in the next moment is not the same as the previous moment, but it's not entirely different also. Yeah, they are linked. They are linked. Okay. For somewhat. Okay, pantheistic. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. 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 Mm. Any other questions? Huh? Bhavanga. Not that I know of. Not that I know of. Bhavanga refers to how when a person pass away, if we are referring to the same thing, if we are referring to the same thing, refers to how when we pass away, then there's this entity that goes to take rebirth. Yeah, what we call 中有. 中有. Yeah, 中阴身 or 中有. Yeah. I realize that this question is always bugging people. Yeah, there are always people. Occasionally there'll be, before you learn Buddhism, Buddhism is in a way, very simple religion. Yeah, don't do evil, do good, don't harm people. Yeah, and on the 1st and 15th, 假借. Yeah, every day before you leave the house, make sure you burn one or three joystick, not joystick, joystick. Yeah, and a whole list of other things. And then Vesak Day, make sure you come to Kwang Ming San and Tiam Yu. But of course, once you really step into a monastery or temple or Buddhist society and you learn some basic Buddhism courses, then you realize that, oh, that's just the popular Buddhism aspect, Now, what is being passed down from generation to generation? Yeah. Within that is this beautiful lineage, of wisdom and teaching. Yeah, it's not simply about praying for our own well-being, praying for success, praying for 13.9 million Toto. Yeah. Oh, I know. Yeah. Yeah, on some of the Dharma, on one of the Dharma WhatsApp group. Yeah. Yeah. And also my uni friends WhatsApp group, they were like 13.9 million. Yeah, one of them even have this idea that, he went to see this feng shui master and then told him that you must find, I think, 10 $1 coin, and it must belong to 2008. Well, I tell you, it was so cute, so interesting. Yeah, so that night, I think 1 or 2 months back, text us, hey, I found, how many did he find? He found 6. Yeah. And he's like frantically looking for the other 4. Wow, so activate a whole bunch of us. Then I happen to have this mineral water container that I cut a hole and then use it as a tongli kong, Yeah. So I say, okay, let me try. Wow, then all of them, wow, 师傅, wow, 师傅 look, wow, power leh. Whatever. So I found 2. Wow. Then another friend found 1. Well, then he's been looking for the last one. Recently he found 1. Some of you, having heard this, you may wonder, so Sifu, did you dispel his wrong view? The fact is that I even contribute $2 to him, Yeah. You see, as much as have a share, huh? No, he didn't win. You see, it's not that I believe in it. Yeah. But from what I see at this point in time, me telling him that this doesn't work will not change his mind. Yeah. He will just see me as someone who is like puritanical, pedantic about things, and then holier than you kind of person, and then he will basically just, it makes people just shut off, Yeah. It is just like how when I went to this memorial service and the mother was folding kimchua, and the daughter wanted me to convince the mother. Instead, I sit down and say, "Oh, this kimchua ho ah ho ah." No. And I started taking the kimchua and fold with them. And then they're like, "Whoa, this so good, this kimchua." Then I said, I took the whole stack, and the whole stack was like one stack, you know. So I took the whole stack and then I do this. Wow. 好功夫诶。Yeah. So, 哇，露两手，哇，the eyes pop up. Yeah. So with that, then wow, they were more relaxed and we started chatting a bit. And then from there, then I shared with them that, oh, you know, when you, I wasn't there to tell them that, oh, this, you know, from Buddhist point of view, you burn more or less, it doesn't make a difference. Yeah. The thing is that this person have been doing that for the past how many years, you know, how many decades. When the mother was a kid, was already brought up with this mindset. How do you expect her to change? The seeds that have been planted for decades, yeah, and potentially not just this life, or maybe a few lives already planted and planted. You think you can just change that? Not so easy. So instead, I share with them that it's good that you are doing this because you want to do something good for your husband. Yeah, but instead of just doing folding and then chit chat, because you know sometimes you chit chat, then you say the wrong thing or you say something that the other person get hurt, and then you start quarreling. Which day like yeah, because it has happened before. Yeah, when you chit chat too much, then what you know your mood get too high, you 得意忘形. So I told them, instead, each time you fold, each step you fold, you can chant Buddha's name. I said, how? Oh, immediately that, how? So I told them, okay, you can chant either Namo Amitofo or Namo Guan Sim Pusa or Namo Pen Si释迦牟尼佛. Then I told them, 让你看做让你看自己咁做有功德. And you must say in a deep tone. Yeah. I mean, think about it, okay? Several years ago, to celebrate Vesak, our youth team actually got many schools to participate in this compassion thing. And they all took all the recycled paper and folded lotuses. Do you all remember the year where SBF, Koming-san, together we did that? So I asked the youth, I said, so is this practice inside the sutra? It's not a Buddhist practice of folding lotuses. Yeah? Isn't it? Think about it. Just because it's a lotus, does it make it a Buddhist practice? No, it's not a Buddhist practice. But we can make it a Buddhist practice by inculcating the right mindset. If while folding you think about love and compassion, then it's a Buddhist practice. Because then you are cultivating, you are training your mind in that way. Yeah, then that action becomes Dharma. Yeah. So if that can be done, then why not zi kim chua? Just don't zi ane zui lah. You know? But you also cannot do it immediately, isn't it? Yeah. So how did I end up here? Banga. So for the longest time, traditional Buddhists, the traditional Buddhist idea, we buy food and all those things. Yeah, but before we even become Buddhists, we are first and foremost Chinese. Yeah, I'm not suggesting that we should put our race or our cultural thing above Buddhism, but I'm saying that first you are born a Chinese, yeah, and traditionally most come to Buddhist temple or Taoist temple or the ancestral shrine hall and treat it equally. Yeah, 拜祖先, 拜大伯公, 拜佛, all the same. Yeah, as long as you can bless me, I pray. Isn't it? And together with this whole set of belief and practices is the idea that In Chinese, we call it 三魂七魄. Yeah, 三魂七魄. Now, there are a lot of different interpretations. I'm not here to elaborate on that. Yeah, but the idea is that even for Chinese, we have this belief that there's some essence in us. Yeah, there's some essence in us. The traditional Chinese belief is that after dying, we become ghosts. And the ghosts will then go to hell and receive judgment and then be sent up to heaven or go to hell. Yeah. There are some similarity with what we see in the Pali Canon, in the Nikaya, where the Buddha mentioned about King Yama. Yeah. But not everybody go there. Okay? Yeah. And you don't become a ghost. Okay? Now, I won't be surprised, and you don't have to raise your hand. This is third year Buddhism course. But sometimes some of these things, because it is the wrong view, and usually in a Dhamma class we teach you the right view. So sometimes these things are not being clarified. And so the longer it's not clarified, the longer you think it's correct. Because it's something that we have grown up hearing. And we will just think that that's what Buddhism is. Yeah. When we die in Buddhism, we say, no, when you take rebirth, then it's one of the 6 realms. You don't have to go to become a ghost as an intermediate. No. Yeah. There are some venerables who say that ghost realm is a close intermediate. Yeah, because a lot of people have attachment. Yeah, so through the attachment, become ghosts. Yeah. And sometimes through wrong views. Yeah. If you have the wrong view that after dying you have to become a ghost, yeah, and yeah, if your wholesome and unwholesome karma is not strong enough, you might just become a ghost. Yeah, because of that wrong view. Yeah, because of that wrong view. Yeah. In many sutras, the Buddha have highlighted to individuals. Yeah, where they think that, oh, after dying, well, will I be this? Will I be that? Yeah. And the Buddha, and sometimes they are thinking, oh, if I do this, I will be reborn in the heavenly realm. Is this correct? Then the Buddha basically tells them, with this wrong view, your future will either be in the lower realms or in hell. Yeah. And it's, yeah, it doesn't mean that with that wrong view, you might just go down to hell. Yeah. But it's not that the Buddha sit down there and then when you die, you come in and say, okay, wrong view, 300 points. But okay, attend Heart Sutra, go. Next time, don't do this. No, it doesn't work that way, okay? Yeah. It is basically that your wrong view will drive you in various ways, yeah? And that mental energy is very powerful, yeah? Yes. Huh? In most cases, when they meet King Yama, it's already in hell realm. Yeah. Yeah, in the lower realms already. Yes. Yeah. So the other thing is, so Babanga, not all traditions recognize this in the same way. Yeah. So some look at it as being a lot more tangible. Yeah. While others just use it as a placeholder. Yeah. Uh, mm. Yeah. So if that is the definition you are referring to, then it's identical to the alaya consciousness. If you are referring to it being an entity, a being that goes to the next life, then that is not. Oh. Okay, last question before I continue. Yes. Mm. The results. Right. Okay. Ripen. Mm. Mm. So, yeah, 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 yeah. So, a few things. Our sister's question is, so in the process of us cultivating towards Buddhahood, how do we reduce the amount of negative seeds in order to attain enlightenment? I presume that's your question, right? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yep. Yep. Mm. So the thing about the seeds is, uh, there are some who think that you have to use up all the negative seeds before you can attain enlightenment, whether arahanthood or Buddhahood. Yeah. How many of you think that you have to, that means experience all your negative seeds, and then you can attain enlightenment? Raise your hand. How many of you? Okay, maybe I should start with the obvious one. How many of you don't know what I'm talking about? Okay, let me just very quickly. So that instead of looking at it as the first seven consciousness, yeah, instead of looking, because when we talk about first seven consciousness, then it becomes very technical and it seems disconnected from our daily life, right? So I'm going to refer to the first seven consciousness as our day-to-day activity. Yeah, because basically the first seven consciousness refer to our existence. Yeah, when we think, when we act, when we speak, it's basically the functioning of the first seven consciousness. Yeah. So in our day-to-day interaction with this world, yeah, in this world, we would plant seeds. Yeah, so far so good. We would plant wholesome seeds and unwholesome seeds. So uh, the idea that, not the idea, the teaching. Yeah, the teaching is that whatever, that everything that is manifest, yeah, is a result, yeah, of the seeds ripening. Okay, so far so good. Mm. But the ripening requires our participation. Yeah, this is a key thing. The seeds itself is just dormant. Yeah, which is why there's another term, 睡眠种子, yeah, or 睡眠烦恼. Yeah, I will explain more in a short while. So the seeds, after you plant, they don't immediately ripen. Which one ripen first depends on the state of your mind on a regular basis. The one that resonate, 相应, the one that resonate would, with your state of mind, would germinate, yeah, would grow and strengthen. Okay, so far so good. So there is this belief that we need to experience all the negative seeds before we can attain enlightenment. Yeah. So the question is, how many of you do not subscribe to this? How many of you subscribe to this? How many of you subscribe to this? How many of you are sitting on the fence? Basically, the rest of you. Okay. So first of all, simply, you do not need to purify or, so to speak, experience all the negative seeds just to attain enlightenment. Yeah. In fact, in the Buddha's time, there were some ascetics who were practicing self-mortification. Now, when they practice self-mortification, they practice with the mindset. By doing this, I use up the store, yeah, of negative seeds or unwholesome seeds. And the aim is that one day, when you totally use up all the negative, unwholesome seeds, the evil, unwholesome seeds, yeah, the imprints, then all you will experience are the wholesome ones, which would be pleasantness. Yeah. So it is not that they are silly, they just go and torture themselves, It is because they subscribe to this view. So the Buddha asked them, how much of the seeds are you removing by doing self-mortification? By lying on the bed of thorns, standing on one feet, holding your breath, and all kinds of extreme asceticism. They said they didn't know. The Buddha asked them, how much did you start off with to begin with? They didn't know. Then the Buddha asked them, how long will this whole process take? They didn't know as well. Yeah. With that, then the Buddha told them, if you don't know how much you are removing, and you don't know how much is left, and you don't know how long it will take, then what do you know? What is the basis of your practice? You are just sort of like hoping that it will work, You don't know. You don't know the efficacy of your practice, in other words. Having seen this sutra, this sutra gives me some inspiration about our practice also. Because oftentimes when we do our practice, we also just po heng sui like that, or just sing sim, not po heng sui, sing sim like every day I bai. Then one day it should work. Yeah. But if you look at the sutra, the reason why the Buddha warned so much disciples, he didn't go out to win disciples, but he convinced them, and through his teachings and the practices, he convinced them that this is the right path. And how did he do that? Because if you look at the sutras, it almost always have direct efficacy. That when you practice in a certain way, or through just his questioning and answer, or certain simple tasks that he assigned people to do, and then immediately they are able to go from their present state of derangement, of fear, of stress and so on, to no fear, no stress and so on. And that's why he was so convincing. And that is why people was compelled to continue to practice, because the practices directly had an effect on their well-being. So that sutra about the wrong practice and wrong view actually have this implication as well. But here, coming back to Alaya consciousness, our attempt or our progress towards enlightenment do not require us to remove all the seeds. In the other commentary I've mentioned before, the Mahayana Samgraha Sastra, it mentions about how when a person attains arahanthood and enters parinibbana, a few things happen. When a person attains arahanthood, that means the person, let's say some of you, after attending this class, and then attending my teacher's meditation class, then go back, meditate every day, then do reflection, then when you're in the office, then you want to, this is the default mind, then you observe and you practice, and then one day in the morning when you wake up, you meditate, you didn't get enlightened. Then you brush your teeth and you poke yourself, and you became one of the arahants, let's say, Or maybe you are taking the train and then you see so many people cramming together. Then you, within this, indeed, as long as you are attached, there's suffering. If you are not attached, there you are peace, or something, And then, at that moment, it doesn't mean that all your seeds disappear, It's just that the active component, which is our mind, the default mind transforms into undefiled mind. So there's no more attachment. With the freeing of the 7 consciousness, which is the mind, then 6 consciousness do not have delusion anymore. It doesn't create and spin stories. And without this spin engine in place, those existing negative seeds, unwholesome seeds, just stop there. stop growing. It cannot further ripen. It cannot manifest. Yeah. Whatever is already active, has already bear fruit, will continue its course within this lifetime. Yeah. Which is why in the Buddhist tradition it's very interesting. Quite a few of the Buddha's disciples actually died horrifically. Yeah. Venerable Mahamoggallana, for example. Yeah. Mujian Zunzi. He and Venerable Sariputra both know that their teacher is suffering in the lower realms, in hell. Yeah. But Venerable Sariputra saw that if he were to tell the disciples, yeah, who were their fellow practitioner, they will not be pleased and they cannot accept it anyway. But Venerable Mahamoggallana, driven by the past karma, go and tell them, hey, your teacher told me to stop the teaching because otherwise he continues suffering. Yeah. And then they killed him. Now, and that's one interesting thing, He is foremost in psychic power. So, in a few suttas, the Buddha mentioned, of all the forces in this world, karma reigns supreme. Karma is a very powerful force. Even psychic power, you cannot overcome it. So there were a few instances of disciples, enlightened, unenlightened, who had psychic power. But when was the ripening, they couldn't manifest. Yeah. Shen Tong, yes. Yeah. And it's not just simply, you can jie, I got feeling. No, it's not. Yeah. In the sutras, it describes that when we call Shen Tong, my teacher explained the word Tong, 从此道彼名之为道，与此相违，名之为障。无障者通也。So without obstruction, that is tong. Yeah. So to have an ability that has no obstruction. For us, our eyes, you can see, yeah, but a lot of us cannot see well. We need this. Without this, wow, practice equanimity. Very good. Very equal. So during meditation retreat, there was once the Sayadaw asked, I can't remember the full context, but something to do with the specs. Then he's like, it's okay. You don't have to always wear your specs. Then I tried. Yeah, it's true. When you're in a retreat, why bother with the specs? Anyway, the Sayadaw don't have PowerPoint slides to look at it anyway. So, normal sight have obstruction. Even 20 by 20 eyesight, it just takes my thumb to block you and you cannot see. Yeah, of course you can shift, but the point is that you just need this and your sight is occluded. Yeah, 有障. So, Shen Tong is where like the spiritual power or psychic power of vision, divine vision. Yeah, you can see long distances, you can see far away land and far away scenarios. Yeah. And among many others. Okay. So for the arahants, those who have attained arahanthood, if certain seeds have already reached maturity, yeah, you cannot avoid them. So just now gave the example of Venerable Sariputra. Venerable Angulimala, yeah, the killer robber. Yeah. Towards his final days, he died a horrific death. Yeah. But in his dying breath, he went to see the Buddha and asked why this is happening when he's already Arahant. Yeah. The Buddha told him, patience, Brahmin, patience. For what you have done, the evil that you have done, you should be suffering much pain for hundreds and thousands for a long time, yeah, in the lower realms. You are now experiencing but a fraction of it. Bear with it. Now you may wonder, then in that case, what's the whole point what's the big deal about attaining arahanthood, After all, if they still have to experience the result. The difference is how we respond. How we respond. When these arahants, they were attacked and they got killed, they don't have a second thought of, oh, walao eh, arahant ada power. No such thoughts. Yeah? No such thoughts. Look at our power. Yeah, they don't have such a thought. But you may find that in some sutras, it mentioned about some arahants or some Pachika Buddha in some other lives, where they actually caution the person, you must be careful, do not do this again, because your results will be multifold. Out of compassion. It's not so much that the enlightened one is like, oh no, it was young. No. Yeah? There's no more attachment on their end. So there's no recipient at all. Yeah? But out of compassion, they will caution people as well. That you must not do this again, because whatever you do will be very heavy. So the limiting factor here is that for enlightened beings, for arahants in particular and above, yeah, they have severed the ignorance of a self. Yeah, they have severed conceit. Yeah, so there's no more active mechanism, active agent, if you will, for the seeds to ripen. Those that is already ripened and the fruit is already there, it's 在家了. Yeah, what we call vipaka. Yeah, in the next page is mentioned, or the half page. So for those who are in the first fruit sotapanna, yeah, the Buddha says those who have attained first fruit will not go into the lower realms. The maximum 7 back and forth, that means 14 lives, back and forth, one back and forth, 2 back and forth. Okay? Either heavenly realms or human realm. But in the Chinese text, it's 七番生死. Yeah, so 七番往来. Yeah. Yeah, 7 times back and forth. Maximum. If you practice very hard, I point here doesn't mean over there. Don't be mistaken. Yeah. And for the, I mean, that gives us a very strong impetus, isn't it? Yeah. If you want to be safe, you must at least. So, in a way, for all Buddhists, our minimum goal is in this lifetime, attain at least Sotapanna. Then you are safe. 搞了哇，安啊。But do not think that when you reach that stage, it's like, wow, you got some special badge. Like that, I got some special badge, then you can anyhow bully people. Not like that, okay? It is that when a person has reached first stage, he has severed 3 things. First, self-view. Without self-view, hard for intense, heavy anger or greed to arise. Yeah, but there's still anger and greed for Sotapanna. Except that because of that realization, there's a lot of awareness. Will not continue like normal people. Yeah, will not go through the full swing. Yeah, so there may be lapses of that wisdom. Yeah, but it is just a lapse. So at the point of rebirth, even if there's a lapse, very quickly stop it. So cannot go into full fruition. Yeah. And it's not just about the rebirth. Actually, our focus is always on the rebirth. Why? Because for us, unlike the enlightened ones, 菩萨为因，众生为果. Yeah, we are concerned about the result. The cause. When we are doing things, we are not so concerned. Okay lah, can lah. Yeah. Hey, today we have to put coupon. Today, who will come and check? Like, go. Then when it's time, hurry up, let's go back in case there's ticket. Well, we're afraid of the result, but not so afraid about doing the act. So, in fact, when we think about it, it is not simply that at the point of death, although that's a crucial part, but it's that once a person has attained Sotapanna, the mind doesn't connect with the lower realms already. Yeah, doesn't connect with the lower realms. Yeah. So hard for the person to plant new ones or to nourish existing seeds. Yeah, so it's not some special shield that you get. Wow, after dying, then you just float around, and then the 黑白无常 coming drag you. 来啦，气快买. No, it's that you don't connect with it anymore. It is like if you go to Geylang for Dharma classes, you will pass by a lot of fanciful activity, but you don't connect anymore. So even if they come, hey, 先生, or 小姐, no, yeah, or you pass by seafood, 肥仔榮 or whatever, I know, 肥仔榮, yeah. Maybe in the past you may have, confirm must eat a bit, but now after learning Dharma, you pass by, you see, but you don't connect anymore. So because you don't connect, so you don't end up there. So this teaching, coming back to the question, the seeds that we plant, it conditions or it influences the way we act. But our present moment, we have to make that choice. We have to make that choice. But that choice in turn is conditioned by our this life. By coming for class, doesn't have to be this class. By going for any Dharma classes, I always want to highlight. Buddhism don't belong to any particular monastery, lineage, or tradition. Because the truth is the truth, is the truth, is the truth. As long as you were to spend time to learn and then reflect and practice, then future thoughts will be shaped in a certain way. Will be shaped in a certain way. In the Mahana Sangraha, then it says that when an Arahant enter Parinibbana, the seeds, they extend the metaphor and say the seeds become inactive, totally inactive. How so? It is like burning the seeds. It's like taking a firebrand and burning the seeds altogether. Once you have burned the seeds are inactive. But actually, they are inactive. Why? Because there's no more active agent to cause them to become active. As explained before. Okay? In the case of a bodhisattva, they attain enlightenment, they don't burn the seeds. But in that case, you may think, hey, in that case, so bodhisattvas still have defilements to activate it. No. In a way, they germinate them, the seeds, through something else, a different force altogether. We are used to acting based on greed, hatred, and delusion. This is our usual mode. That any activity must be driven by either of these three. Enlightened ones, they are driven also, but differently. Driven by love, compassion, and wisdom. Driven by such qualities. Otherwise, why do you think the Buddha go out of his way to see a cow herd? Otherwise, why would the Buddha sometimes go out of his way to find this person who is what we call tosai? It's inside the sutra. You cannot say that the Buddha, after enlightenment, just float around, 随缘, everything 随缘. No, the Buddha was a very proactive person. So if we were to learn the sutras and learn from the Buddha's example, then we realize that we cannot live our life being passive and just wait for things to happen. Because the Buddha was a very proactive person. But the Buddha was not a person who see that he can simply make things happen also. Because he will consider what are the conditions. Yeah? If there are conditions, then he will proactively pursue it. If there are no conditions, he will proactively plant the seeds for future conditions. But he will not be hasteful and expect must be now. Yeah? He will wait for the conditions to ripen. Yeah? And that is the work of a bodhisattva. Life after life after life. Yeah? And all that is possible. There is the alaya consciousness as well. About, I think, was it last week or the previous weeks, I mentioned about the verse, 无始时来界，一切法等一，由此有诸趣，即以涅盘正德。This is the 即以涅盘正德. Yeah. So all the realms is possible because of this. And also enlightenment. Without this mechanism or this part of our existence, then all that is not possible. It is now 9:03. Put our palms together. 愿消三障诸烦恼，愿得智慧真明了，普愿罪障悉消除，世世常行菩萨道。阿弥陀佛。Like to extend dedication to what's her name? To Binyo's father, who passed away just this 1-2 weeks, and also to Sok Ping's mother, who is having Parkinson's disease, and also to this devotee who had cancer and just passed away this afternoon. May she have the conditions to be reborn in the happier realm or in Pure Land, and the conditions to learn and practice the Buddha Dharma and attain to final liberation in due time. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Chili. 诸位至诚礼佛行三问讯礼，一问讯，再问讯，三问讯。Till we meet again, may be guided and protected by the Buddha, Dharma, and the Sangha. Sadhu. And as always, 乖乖